We need oxygen to live, but we need hydrogen to live well. And I think that really sums up the benefits of hydrogen in many ways.
What are some of the foods? I mean, this is so exciting and so fascinating. What are some of the foods that we can eat that will produce more hydrogen in our bodies?
Well, listen to your mother. So your mother say, eat your fruits and your vegetables because these contain fibers, these non-digestible carbohydrates. And when they're metabolized by our intestinal bacteria, that bacteria produces hydrogen gas. And so research has shown that hydrogen gas indeed is therapeutic. It has beneficial effects. So it's really good to eat those fibers. But it's also very curious, and it's one of the enigmas in hydrogen research, because when you compare eating fibers and producing a lot of hydrogen gas that way compared to just drinking hydrogen water, which is actually a smaller amount of hydrogen gas, when you compare the two, often simply drinking hydrogen water is more effective than getting it from the fibers. And I just was discussing this with Professor Ota, and one of the reasons for this could be because hydrogen gas seems to modulate signal transduction and gene expression, and so in order to do this, we have to have this intermittent pulse exposure. So when you drink hydrogen water, you have a high increase in the blood, and then it goes down quickly. Whereas from bacteria, it kind of slowly goes up and stays there for a while and slowly goes back down. So it doesn't have the same effect on our genes and on our cells as does drinking hydrogen water.
So what about the safety of it, right? It seems so new, even though the research, as you mentioned, Dr. Ota's been researching it for over 13 years. The research is there, it's really culminating. What about the safety, and can children take it?
Yeah, excellent question. So far, there's no reported adverse effects from taking hydrogen, even at high concentrations. And scientifically, that's somewhat makes us skeptical. Because if something has a beneficial effect, then it should have a noxious effect, especially at high doses, at high concentrations. We don't really see that with hydrogen. Even at cell culture at very high concentrations, or in animals or humans, we don't see that. And the safety is really well established, even before Professor Ota started his research 13 years ago, because they've actually used deep hydrogen gas to prevent decompression sickness in deep sea diving since the 1940s at literally hundreds, millions of times higher concentrations than what we use for therapeutic uses. And as we mentioned, it's produced by our bacteria, so we're always exposed to hydrogen gas. It's very natural. It's not some alien foreign substance or something. It's very natural to our bodies, but simply drinking it has these beneficial effects, and so far we haven't seen any adverse effects. So as far as children, pregnant women, there's no reason to suggest for them not to have it, and the animal studies suggest that they should have it for sure.
I love to hear this. This is so exciting. It's so cutting edge, so transformative. You and I are going to go out and explore Tokyo a little bit and how hydrogen is used in the daily life, and I can't wait to be doing that with you. So Tyler, thank you very much for opening up my eyes and that of so many other people to the power of molecular hydrogen.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Turns out it's a powerful antioxidant, but not too powerful. And this was one of the principal findings that was made in Japan by Professor Ota. He did an amazing study where he found that not only was hydrogen an antioxidant, that is, it was able to neutralize oxidative capacity in a cell, and I'll show you what that means in just a moment, but it was not too powerful, because there's some very natural oxidants in our cells which are very important for signaling in the cell and for regulation of gene expression, so regulating our genes and so on. So it's important, if we use an antioxidant, that it's not too powerful. So it can neutralize or reduce very dangerous oxidants in our cells, and these dangerous oxidants account for a number of different problems, particularly in chronic illnesses. We have an excess of these produced in both acute and chronic illnesses. So it's something that we have to maintain control over in terms of maintaining control over our health. And the important thing, as I mentioned, hydrogen does not interfere with the signaling systems within the cell. So there's some very minor oxidants in the cell that are important in signaling and controlling gene regulation and so on. We don't want to interfere with those because that can cause catastrophic events.
Well, the health benefits of hydrogen sound exciting, but is it safe?
Oh, it's absolutely safe.
You know, one of the exciting properties of hydrogen, particularly in hydrogen-enriched water, is that it is extremely safe. You know, hydrogen has been used for a long time, many, many years, in commercial diving, for example, where divers have been exposed to long periods of time to hydrogen, much higher concentrations than we actually see in hydrogen-enriched water. So its safety record is absolutely excellent. So hydrogen is extremely safe. You know, and this is one of the things that we can all say about hydrogen, is it is very, 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 very safe. And in fact, before I went to college, I worked as a professional diver. And we actually used hydrogen in our gas mixtures for deep diving. And it's been used commercially in deep diving for many, many years, ever since the 1930s. They've been experimenting with different gas mixtures to prevent decompression sickness, or the bends, in professional divers who work for long periods of time at great depth. So hydrogen has been put in the mixture with helium and oxygen, mostly not only to delete out the oxygen, but also to provide other properties as well. And so one of the more popular mixtures for deep diving is a mixture of hydrogen, helium, and oxygen, removing completely the nitrogen. So obviously it's safe because of the use of hydrogen since the 30s in a high pressure environment. So the partial pressure of hydrogen is much, much higher than it is in ambient use. And so if it had any possibility of causing harm, we would have known about it over the years from thousands and thousands of professional divers that have used hydrogen in the mixtures of gas. So its safety record is well documented in gas mixtures, and there's been no safety issues in all these years. It's extremely safe when used in water, like hydrogen water. And of course, here we have hydrogen water. And has there ever been a case of damage of anybody from hydrogen water? No. It's very, very safe. And I think that's another thing that you can brag about with hydrogen water. It is completely safe to use, completely safe to consume, and so on.
So we talk about the hydrogen getting through the cell membrane, et cetera, and we talk about hydrogen being an antioxidant. I know there's a lot of antioxidants out there. Is hydrogen different?
Well, it is, and it can penetrate very easily into every compartment of a cell, and that's not true for most other antioxidants. But there's another property of hydrogen which makes it unique, and that's that it's not an overly strong antioxidant. Some antioxidants are so strong that they suppress all oxidants within a cell. And I'm telling you that is not good, because some minor oxidants are very important in terms of cell signaling and gene regulation. And so we don't want to affect those processes in our cells. And so hydrogen doesn't affect those processes. It really goes after the most bad or strongest oxidants in the cell and inhibits those.
And also, hydrogen is rather stable, and it is difficult to react with a lot of things, and is safe.
So hydrogen is inert, and it's safe,
Yeah.
and it is capable of penetrating through the membrane,
Yeah.
where most antioxidants that we would ingest are not capable of penetrating through the membrane.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so your expertise is in the mitochondria.
Yeah.
You found that mitochondria produce reactive oxygen species,
Yeah.
which are very damaging to the body, but some of them are actually good for us, so we don't want to neutralize all of them. And so your hope or your goal was to find some way to neutralize only the bad free radicals, only the bad reactive oxygen
Yeah.
species, and then you came across hydrogen.
Yeah.
And you started to find that, hey, this is a selective antioxidant.
Yeah.
It only scavenges the bad ones, like the
Okay.
hydroxyl radical.
Okay, but the story is not so simple.
Okay.
Because hydrogen regulate signal transduction and also many gene expression.